Hi, in this video we're going to compare and contrast the plant cell and animal cell in terms of their cell structure and function. Now, plants and animal cells have several similarities and differences in terms of their structures, or also known as organelles, or also we call it cell parts. Now, one of the obvious similarities between plant and animal cells is that they are both eukaryotic cells, meaning their membranes are enclosed, or their organelles are enclosed in a membrane. Especially their nucleus, which is at the central portion of the cell, it is enclosed in a nuclear envelope. So that's one characteristic of a eukaryotic cell. On the other hand, one of the obvious differences between animal and plant cell is their shape. So as you can see in here, on your left, this is the typical animal cell. On your right, this is your typical plant cell. So as you can observe, the animal cell has a somewhat round or irregular shape, whereas the plant cell, as you can see, it has a fixed or a rectangular shape. So now let us discuss the structures or organelles that are common to both cells, or that can be found in both the animal and plant cell. Let's start with perhaps the most important organelle in a cell, the nucleus. So the nucleus, it is the control center of the cell. It contains the DNA, or also known as the deoxyribonucleic acid, or the genetic material of the cell. So as you can see in this diagram, the nucleus of the animal cell is this part right here. And in the plant cell, as you can see, it's somewhat on the side. Okay? So the function again of the nucleus is that all the processes, cellular activities of the cell are controlled by the nucleus. Next are the ribosomes. So ribosomes, these are your site for protein synthesis. So the proteins, which are very important macromolecule, are manufactured in these ribosomes. So ribosomes can be found suspended all throughout the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, so these little dots right here that you can see in the plant and animal cell, these are ribosomes. And also, you can also find ribosomes attached to a endoplasmic reticulum, specifically the rough endoplasmic reticulum, just like this one. Okay. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum. So endoplasmic reticulum, this is a network of membranes throughout the cytoplasm of the cell. So as you can see in here, in the animal cell, so this is the endoplasmic reticulum. It is located near the nucleus. Also in the plant cell, this is the endoplasmic reticulum. So we actually have two kinds or two types of endoplasmic reticulum. So we have the smooth ER and the rough ER. So the difference between the two is in terms of the presence of ribosomes. So in smooth ER, there are no ribosomes attached to its membranes. Whereas in the rough ER, there are a lot of ribosomes attached to its membranes. So if you look at the diagram right here, okay, on the animal cell, the smooth ER is this part. Okay, as you can see, there are no dots, there are no black dots, the ribosomes attached to its membrane. So this is the smooth ER, and the rough ER is this part, this portion right here. There are a lot of dots, as you can see, there are a lot of dots, a lot of ribosomes attached to this membrane. So this is the rough ER. Also with the plant cell, as you can see, this is the rough ER, this is the smooth ER. Now, in terms of function, the smooth ER is responsible for lipid synthesis and detoxification of the cell. Whereas the rough ER, or the rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is also responsible for the protein synthesis because obviously it has attached ribosomes to it. Next is the Golgi body, also known as the Golgi apparatus. So it is responsible for sorting and shipping the proteins produced from the ER or endoplasmic reticulum to their correct destination. So it's like the delivery man of the cell. So in the animal cell, the Golgi body or the Golgi apparatus is this part. So it looks like ER or a network of membranes. In the plant cell, this is the you can also see here the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body. Next organelle is what we call as the mitochondrion, a plural mitochondria. So these are important organelles of the cell because their main role or their main purpose is to produce ATP or also known as adenosine triphosphate. This is the energy currency of the cell. So all cellular activities can only be done with the presence of ATP or the cellular energy. So in the animal cell, mitochondria looks like this. So these structures right here, these are the mitochondria. In the plant cell, as you can see, there are also several mitochondria. Next is the plasma membrane. Okay, so this is the semi-permeable membrane enclosing a cell made up of two layers of. So in other words, the outer covering that covers or that encloses both the animal cell and the plant cell. So it is the boundary between the cell's internal environment and the cell's external environment. Now, it is semi-permeable because not all materials or not all chemicals can enter easily the plasma membrane or the cell or can go outside of the cell. So the plasma membrane will select those chemicals or those organic materials that can enter or that can go outside of the. Next is the cytoplasm. This is the fluid internal contents of the cell where organelles, okay, except the nucleus, are suspended. So this internal fluid environment inside the animal cell and the plant cell where all the organelles are suspended, this is what you call as the cytoplasm. Okay, next is the cytoskeleton. So this is a network of filaments and tubules found all throughout the cytoplasm of the cell. So it gives the cell shape or the shape of the cell and it supports the cell. Okay, so we actually have three kinds of cytoskeleton. We have the microfilaments, the intermediate filaments, and the microtubules. Okay, next is the peroxisome. Okay, this organelle collects and breaks down harmful chemicals or chemicals that are toxic to the cell. So it's one of those organelles that keep the cell free from harmful chemicals. Okay, so in the diagram, okay, so I guess the peroxisome is not included in this diagram, but there is a peroxisome. Now, since we are done discussing the organelles or cell parts that are common to both plant and animal cells, now let us discuss the organelles that are exclusive to plant cells and animal cells. So let's start with plant cells, the organelles that can only be found in plant cells and not in animal cells. Okay, so we have the chloroplast, or sometimes it is called chloroplastids. Okay, these are the organelles of the plant cell that is the site for photosynthesis, the process of making food by the plants using sunlight. And inside the chloroplast, we have this so-called chlorophyll, which is a green pigment that is used by the plant cell to capture light energy in the process of photosynthesis. So in this diagram of the plant cell, you can see here, these are the chloroplast. Okay, this these green capsule-like things where you can see there are somewhat little coins inside. So again, that's where photosynthesis happens. The next organelle exclusive to plant cells is this central vacuole. Okay, so central vacuole, it is mainly for storage of large amounts of water, sugars, and other substances in plants. It's like a big storage room in a plant cell. So as you can see in the diagram, this is this large this large organelle at the center of the plant cell. This is what you call the central vacuole. So this is what differs or what distinguishes the plant cell from animal cell. The nucleus is going to be located at the side because at the center we have the central vacuole. Okay, next is the cell wall. Okay, so cell wall, this is a layer of cellulose that gives extra protection and support for plant cells. So as you can see here in this diagram, this layer, this thick layer that surrounds the plant cell, okay, aside from the plasma membrane which covers the plant cell, there is another layer that gives it extra protection and support, and it is the cell wall. But unlike the plasma membrane, the cell wall doesn't allow materials from the outside to go inside, and vice versa. So, good thing there's what we call plasmodesmata. Okay, these are small openings in the cell wall. So in this diagram, as you can see, there are small holes in the cell wall of the plants. These serves as passageways or channels wherein the materials can go inside and outside of the plant cell. Okay, again, these four organelles are only found in the plant cells and not in animal cells. Now, for the organelles found only in animal cells, we have the first lysosome. So the lysosome digests and breaks down large molecules into smaller ones. So it's like the digestive system of the animal cell. So as you can see in the diagram of this animal cell, the lysosome is looks like this one, this circular or spherical organelle. By the way, the peroxisome which we discussed earlier, as you can see, it looks like the lysosome. It's spherical in shape, but it works in detoxifying the cell. Okay, next organelles that are only exclusive in animal cells, we have the centrioles. Okay, so centrioles, these produces long fibers called microtubules, one of the cytoskeleton of the cell, which are used in cell division or cell reproduction. Okay, so in an animal cell, we have this, okay, so look at this diagram, we have the centrosome, which contains two centrioles in the animal cell. So in this part right here, this is where the microtubules are manufactured or made. Next is the flagella, plural flagella, if singular flagellum. These are the tail attached to the main body of the cell that can rotate to give the cell mobility. So it enables mobility for the cell. So in this diagram, this is the flagellum, or if there are many, flagella. Another organelle that gives animal cells mobility are these cilia, okay? So these are finger-like extensions in the cell. For example, this part of the animal cell. Okay, to summarize our lesson, again, there are similarities and differences in terms of structure and function for the plant and animal cells. So for the similarities, these are the organelles, which are both can be found in the plant and animal cells, and these are the exclusive organelles for the plant cell and for the animal cells. Okay, so I hope you've learned something. Thank you for listening and see you on the next video.